Night, watch man, the city's safe, the beauty shall rise with the dawn of east. Noontide, sunset, come with spring leaping upon the hills. Summer heat for the reaping of saying we seen her dancing with the autumn leaves and we saw. Night, watch man, the city. Night, watch man, the city's safe, the beauty shall rise with the dawn. Night, watch man, the city's safe, the beauty shall rise with the dawn of east. Noontide, sunset, come with spring leaping upon the hills. Summer heat for the reaping of saying we seen her dancing with the autumn leaves and we saw a drift of snow in the hair. All things have said of you beauty. Beauty is not in need but an ecstasy, it is not a mouth but thirsty nor a human hand stretched forth. Heart inflamed and soul enchanted. It's not the image that you would see nor the song you would hear, rather an image you see through your eyes closed and song near, hear through. Shut your ears and it's not the sap of the fur in your bark and not wing attached to a claw. The garden forever in the bloom for flock of bearing angels, and even in the flight for the people who find that beauty is his life. Unveiling of the holy face that you are life, and you are the veil, eternity gazing into a self mirror. You are the mirror, gazing at self. Who's to speak of that for this to be the musical sound of the birds until I reached the lonely spot where the flowing branches of trees prevented me from the sun, from the touching the earth, and I stood there. It was the entering of my soul for the thirsty soul who had thought not to see the mirage of the instead of a sweetness. Engrossed deeply in the thought, my spirits were sailing for the firmament, for this is the wearing of the sprig, covered by the part of the naked body, for the breathing of a poppy, for the you can have the golden hair, and suddenly it appeared to me that you realize that I'm astonishment for the greeting of me saying, for fear me not, I am not the nymph of the jungle. How can I be the beauty for the light, to be to commit for the love in this place, for you to tell me who I am, whence you came from, for the when I came gracefully upon that green grass. Symbol of the nature, and I am forever the virgin of the forefathers in worship. Honor for the erected shrines and temples, and that could be the bell, for this became the earth, and nothing was left to commemorate for the goddess. Say the pivotal forgotten pages in the book of history. Some goddess live in that trees for the worship of the deed, for the deeds of the deaths, and the living of the eternal. Life and my life is sustained by the growth of the beauty whatever you see, for the resting of the eyes and the beauty is nature as itself at the beginning of the shepherds among the hills and the villages. Happy in the fields, pleasure that all field tribes between the mountains and the plain. Beauty promotes those who wise the throne of truth, and then I can say to you the fear of heaven. Source of the spiritual peace and the fear for the nature, for the haven, the rest and tranquility, for the fear for goodness. Accusing you of the anger, but are you full of love and the mercy and the deep silence and the mingling of sweet dreams, and asking yourself to speak to that, to the beauty for the weather you can interpret the divine. According to the exception, you can have that for the honoring and the worship in different ways and manners. Beauty, which attracts that soul, which loves to give not to receive, for the meeting of the beauty, for the feeling of the hands that deep within your inner, for the stretching of forth to bring yourself for the domain of heart, and it's the magnificence. Combine your sorrow with the joy, unseen what you see, for thee to be the Vegas you can understand, for the meeting of which you hear the hollies, and begin to hear yourself vastly upon your earthly imagination. I found me alone when I returned to that turbulence and no longer vexed as I repeated as words. Beauty that which attracts the soul, which you love to give me not to receive. It was the border of what I believed. The yielding of gathering into spices and find that transaction, whether you can find and what you can say for the bounty for the fuel. Even to us, that's a ramen for the view, for the marketplace you could be gone, and for the empty hands and the master, the spirit should find us and sleep peacefully upon the winds until they need the least. You are the satisfied, I shall rise for this one. Close eyes, peacefully. Looking upon the seven shells, and you can find yourself with the brethren. Recreating by the snow for this mirrors, rose and made a band for the tempest to be the born in the black caves. You to be serving against that as a madman, thinking of yourself for the fancy of unknown things and not yet created. I for the longing of the eyes, fashion the days into the images, and giving that a formless and elements and newest and eternal forms, and it is solitary as one. One for the rebel against that for the preordained. None for that I'm the not doing the self for the sitting upon the dumb for the empty nowhere to become. Or you are becoming busy with the recreating his life, and neighbor you should find yourself for the rebelling. You are not that for this, but not you for this. They're not your thoughts for the rule they have, their own for the body, for the soul, for the dwelling upon the house of tomorrow. For the you cannot visit for even the dreams. Still be like them for the backwards of the terror, for yesterday, for the bows not to be marked upon that, for the path of infinite, for the arrows that fly. You can love that bow for the stable. city safe, the beauty shall rise with the dawn of east. Who would define that to speak as beauty? Where should you speak beauty? How should I find it? And unless you can be yourself in the way you got, except for that, for to be the weaver, for the speak and grief and speech and injured to say, for the beauty is kind and gentle like a young mother with a half shy glory for the walking amongst us, passion to say beauty is a thing of the might, dread, temper. You can find that for the sound of the hovering of the beating of winds and roaring of lion. Night, watch man, the city safe, the beauty shall rise with the dawn of east. Noontide, sunset, come with spring leaping upon the hills. Summer heat for the reaping of saying we'd seen her dancing with the autumn leaves, and we saw the drift of snow in the hair. All things I've said of you, beauty. Beauty is not in need, but an ecstasy of the not a mouth, but thirsty, nor a human hand stretched forth. Heart inflamed and soul enchanted. It's not the image that you would see, nor the song you would hear. Rather an image you see through your eyes closed and song near, hear through. Shut your ears and it's not the sap of the fur in your bark and not wing attached to a claw. But a garden forever in bloom for flock of gray angels, and even in the flight for the people who can find that beauty is his life. Feeling of the holy face that you are life. You are the veil and turn to gazing into a self mirror. You are the mirror, gazing at self. To speak of that, for this to be the musical sound of the birds until I reached the lonely spot where the flowing branches and trees prevented me from the sun, from touching the earth, and I stood there. It was the entering of my soul for the thirsty soul who had thought not to see the mirage of the instead of a sweetness. Engrossed deeply in a thought, my spirits were settling for the firmament, for this is the wearing of the sprig, covered by the part of the naked body, for the breathing of a poppy, for the you can have to go to head and suddenly it appeared to me that to realize that I'm astonishment for the greeting of me saying, fear me not, I am not the nymph of the jungle. How can I be the beauty for the light to be the commit for the love in this place for you to tell me who I am, whence you came from, for the when I came gracefully upon that green glass. Similar to nature, I am forever the virgin of the forefathers who worship me. Honor for the erected shrines and temples, and that can be the bell for this it became the earth and nothing was left to commemorate for the goddess. Say the piffle, the forgotten pages in the book of history. Some goddess live in that trees for the worship of the deed, for the deeds of the death and living with the eternal. Life and my life is sustained by the world for the beauty whatever you see for the resting of the eyes and the beauty is nature as itself at the beginning of the shepherds among the hills and the villages. Happy in the fields, pleasure that all field tribes between the mountains and the plain. Beauty promotes those who wise and throne of truth, and then I can say to you the fear of heaven. Source of the spiritual peace and the fear for the nature, for the haven of rest and tranquility, for the fear of God. Accusing you of the anger, whether you're full of love and the mercy and the deep silence and the mingling of sweet dreams, and asking yourself to speak to that, to the beauty for the whether you can interpret the divine. According to the exception, you can have that for the honoring of the worship in different ways and manners. Beauty, which attracts that soul, which loves to give, not to receive, for the meeting of the beauty, for the feeling of the hands that deep within your inner, for the stretching of forth to bring yourself to the domain of heart, and it's the magnificence. Combine your sorrow for the joy unseen, what you see, for it to be the Vegas you can understand, for the muting of what you hear, the hollies that begin to enter yourself vastly upon your earthly imagination. I found me alone when I returned to that turbulence and no longer vexed as and repeated as words. Beauty that in which attracts the soul, which you love to give me, not to receive. It was the order of what I believed. The yielding of gathering and the spices, and to find that transaction, and whether you can find and what you can say for the bounty for the few. Even to us, that's the ramming for the view, for the marketplace, you can be gone for the empty hands, and the master of the spirit should find us and sleep peacefully upon the winds until they need the release. You are the satisfied. I shall rise for this and close eyes peacefully, looking upon the seven shells, and you can find yourself at the brethren, recreating matter snow for this mirrors rose that made a band for the tempest to be the born in the black caves. You to be serving against status, a madman thinking of yourself for the fancy of unknown things and not yet created. I for the longing of the eyes, fashion the days into the images, and giving that a formless and elements and newest and eternal forms, and it is solitary as one for the rebel against that for the preordained, none for that I'm not doing the self for the sitting upon the dumb for the empty nowhere to become, or all you are becoming busy with the recreating his life, and never you should find yourself for the rebelling. You are not that for this, but not you for this. You're not your thoughts for the rule they have, their own for the body, for the soul, for the dwelling upon the house of tomorrow, for them you cannot visit for even the dreams. Still be like them for the backwards of the terror for yesterday, for the bows not to be marked upon that for the path of infinite, for the arrows that fly, you could love that bow for the stable. searching the beauty for the hiding and yet not beautiful for the seeking the garments of freedom of privacy. You may find them inside the harness of a chain. What you can meet for the sun, for the wind. More skin is less. More for the breath of life, for the sunlight, for the handing and life inside that wind, for the north that glow to wear. Laugh at the forest. Forgot not for that modesty, for the shield against that, for the cue. Eye of the unclean, for when you can find a mind. You will be for the no more, for fetter for the fouling of the. You can forget the earthly lights and feel your bare feet the winds. Long to play with that head. Long to play with the what's the thread, for who's the dread. That for the remnants of what you can find the crime and punishment, answering you wandering upon the wind for the unguarded, committing a wrong unto the devil or yourself, and you must knock out and wait unheed for the gate of blessed remains undefiled, unlike for the lifting of the wing, for the sun is your God self. It knows your way for the mold seeking of the host of the serpent, for you do not do dwelling alone, for the the only being, for the midst of the searching of its awakening in man, and when now I speak. It is not for the God nor the self, for the listen to be the midst for the crime and to the punishment of the crime. For all this you have heard you speak for the intruder upon your own world. Even as those are holy, for the righteous you cannot rise above. High as beyond and beneath you. You cannot fall in love for the fallen, lower for the what you can also be. For the single leaf turns yellow, for the silent knowledge of your whole tree. For the wrongdoing and not do wrong, for the hidden of you all. Like a procession, the walking together for the gossip, for the way of the wayfarer. And when not for the falling upon yourself and him, for the though fast and sure of foot, yet remove for the stumbling stone. It's also through the word for the lie, having upon your hearts is the murder for uncountable for the own. Not blameless for the being robbed, for the righteous and not in sin, for the deeds of the wicked, for the hand not clean, for the doings of the villain, for the oftentimes of the victim of the be injured, for the condemning of the burden, the bearer of the guiltless and unblamed. You cannot separate yourself for the unjust and the good, for the wicked. Stand there before the face of the sun, even as the black thread and the whites woven together. It'll be extreme. It'll be delicate. It'll be grieved. It will be temperament. Shaped for that, for all multitudes to be. You are that for the love of yourself slain through the spirit and deceiving us and you as an oppressor. Administer to all. Cannot lay remorse for the innocence, and you can be looking upon that for the night. For this is the day for the God self to find yourself going through the temple and not higher for the lower the dedication. You will still find that and still be shaking, crossing over the mind like something drunk in the bath, for the liquor for almost made me blind. For the so sick you can hardly know my mind. It was still there. It was lost between that naive period that was lost in vagueness. It was eternal to be, eternal to you, eternal to all that was lost and sick way down for the hang black for the rose, the tree loves that naked shadow. You find democracy meaning for everybody, but not for the collage, the color of students, and maybe the color of white for where you can find a constructive part of you. I guess you can be a little bit older for the somewhat more free. I'm known for the ancient, for dusky roots in my soul going deep like the song for the echoing of your head. Slept in the rock of a man that's dead enough for the drowning of the drowsy tune that was rocking back and forth to the mellowing of a croon that heard that of gaslight, of a quotation. You can have that unborn for the change and broken. The rain makes still pools on the sidewalk for the runs, running pools into the gutter for the places, sleepy slums for the roof of the night for the doors and find steam inside that for the spitting at the parting of my life like it was a dream for the broken wings for the birds you can't fly for the night for the coming intently like you know. It would be peach skin for there to be how beautiful I will be for the yet ashamed to sing that song. For who would laugh? Who would care if these were easy? Answers to be dreams or deferred or dries up. To be washed or life is more the living for this is letting me be music and let your rain kiss you for the rating and beat upon your head for the liquid drops and let them refine your lullaby. I wish to not drink into that moon love to sink into you until I'm affected by you until you all.
Love is that fire, but whether it's going warm in your heart or to burn down your heart, you can never tell how dreamy you are to me. I like you, but you wish to me. A whisper in the heart. She's not that song.
I speak to you not for the conceal much of your beauty, for the hiding it, yet not unbeautiful, for the seeking your garments and freedom of privacy. You may find them inside the harness of a chain, which you can meet for the sun, for the wind. More skin and success, more for the breath of life, for the sunlight, for the handing in life, and inside that wind for the north that clothing to wear. Laugh at the forest, forgot not for that modesty, for the shield against that, for the cue. Eye of the unclean, for when you can find in mind. You will be for the no more, for fetter for the valley of the you can forget the earthly lights and feel your bare feet the winds. Long to play with that head. Long to play with it, what's spread for who's to dread. That for the remnants of what you can find the crime and punishment answering you wandering upon the wind for the unguarded. Committing a wrong unto the devil or yourself, and you must knock out and wait not and heed, for the gate of the blessed remains undefiled. Unlike for the uplifting of the wing, for the sun is your God, so it knows your way for the mole seeking of the hopes of the serpent, for you do not dwelling alone for the who the only being, for the midst of the searching of its awakening in man. And when now I speak, it is not for the God nor the self, for the this is to be the midst for the crime and to the punishment of the crime. From all this you have heard you speak for the intruder upon your own world. Even as those are holy for the righteous that cannot rise above, high as beyond and neath you. You cannot fall in love for the fallen, lower for the what you can also be, for the single leaf turns yellow, for the is the silent knowledge of the whole tree, for the wrongdoing cannot do wrong, for the hidden of you all. Like a procession, the walking together for the gossip, for the way of the wayfarers. And when not for the falling upon yourself and him, for the though fast and sure of foot, yet remove for the stumbling stone. It's also through the word for the lie, having upon your hearts and the murder for unkindable for the own. Not blameless for the being robbed, for the righteous and not innocent, for the deeds of the wicked, for the hand not clean, for the doings of the fellow, for the oftentimes of the victim, for the be injured, for the condemning with the burden, the bearer for the guiltless and unblamed. You cannot separate yourself from the unjust and the good, for the wicked. Stand there before the face of the sun, even as the black thread and the whites woven together. It'll be extreme. It'll be delicate. It'll be grieved. It will be temperament. Shaped for that, for all multitudes to be. You are that for the love of yourself slain through the spirit and deceiving as new as an oppressor. Administered to all, cannot lay rewards for the own for the innocence, and you can be looking upon that for the night, for this will be the day for the gods that find yourself cornered through the temple and not higher for the lower the dedication. You will still find that and still be shaken, crossing over the mind like something drunk for the bath, for the liquor for almost made me blind, for so sick that you can hardly know my mind. It was still there. It was lost between that naive period that was lost in vagueness. It was paternal to me, paternal to you. I speak to you not for the conceal much of your beauty, for the hiding it, yet not unbeautiful, for the seeking your garments and freedom of privacy. You may find them inside the harness of a chain, which you can meet for the sun, for the wind. More skin and success, more for the breath of life, for the sunlight, for the handing in life, and inside that wind for the north that clothing to wear. Laugh at the forest, forgot not for that modesty, for the shield against that, for the cue. Eye of the unclean, for when you can find in mind. You will be for the no more, for fetter for the fouling of the you can forget the earthly lights and feel your bare feet the winds. Long to play with that head. Long to play with the what's spread for who's to dread. That for the remnants of what you can find the crime and punishment answering you wandering upon the wind for the unguarded. Committing a wrong unto the devil or yourself, and you must knock out and wait and heed, for the gate of the blessed remains undefiled. Unlike for the lifting of the wing, for the sun is your God, so it knows your way for the mole seeking of the host of the serpent, for you do not dwelling alone, for the who the only being, for the midst of the searching of its awakening in man. And when now I speak, it is not for the God nor the self, for the this is to be the midst for the crime and to the punishment of the crime. From all this you have heard you speak for the intruder upon your own world. Even as those are holy for the righteous that cannot rise above, high as beyond and neath you. You cannot fall in love for the fallen, lower for the what you can also be, for the single leaf turns yellow, for the is the silent knowledge of the whole tree, for the wrongdoing cannot do wrong, for the hidden of you all. Like a procession, the walking together for the gossip, for the way of the wayfarers. And when not for the falling upon yourself and him, for the though fast and sure of foot, yet remove for the stumbling stone. It's also through the word for the lie, having upon your hearts and the murder for unkindable for the own. Not blameless for the being robbed, for the righteous and not innocent, for the deeds of the wicked, for the hand not clean, for the doings of the fellow, for the oftentimes of the victim of the be injured, for the condemning with the burden, the bearer for the guiltless and unblamed. You cannot separate yourself for the unjust and the good, for the wicked. Stand there before the face of the sun, even as the black thread and the whites